Mga kalab natin, may mga bago tayong featured programs ng NHK World Japan. Ito Newsroom Tokyo na mapapanood nyo po sa CTN Digital TV. Salamat po.
Global investors were just starting to get their bearings following the collapse of two banks in the United States. Now they have something more to worry about, as one of Europe's major banks is in trouble. Yuko Fukushima has the details.
Yes, the Central Bank of Switzerland is extending major funding to Credit Suisse, the country's second largest bank. That's calmed immediate concerns about its finances, but it's got traders worrying about the stability of the global financial system. Credit Suisse announced on Wednesday it would borrow up to 50 billion Swiss francs from the Swiss National Bank, or about $54 billion. It says it's taking this decisive action to strengthen its liquidity. The direct trigger seemed to be the Saudi National Bank saying it would provide no more money. The Saudi bank agreed last year to invest $1.6 billion to help turn the firm around. Its 10% stake made it Credit Suisse's largest investor. Shares of Credit Suisse were dumped, falling as much as 30% to a record low. The stock exchange had to halt trading of the shares at one point. The Swiss authorities pledged the liquidity lifeline following the meltdown, an unprecedented move. The financial regulator and the central bank released a joint statement saying Credit Suisse meets the capital and liquidity requirements imposed on systemically important banks. Stock indexes in Europe slumped on Wednesday. The FTSE in London was down almost 4%. The DAX in Frankfurt fell more than 3%. Banking stocks weighed heavily on the indexes. And the negative sentiment spilled into Asia as well. Investors were worried about how the financial system in the U.S. and Europe will impact them. Many traders avoided taking risks. The Nikkei in Tokyo slipped 0.8%, and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong lost 1.7%. The Credit Suisse turmoil affected the currency market as well. The yen strengthened against the dollar. Some bought as they see the Japanese currency as a safe haven asset. Here's how the pair is trading now. Now, Credit Suisse has a history of problems, from trading losses to repeated executive shakeups. The latest slide in its shares was nothing new. In early 2021, the bank's involvement with collapsed Greensill Capital left its risk management and compliance in doubt. The bank lost billions when the private fund Archegos defaulted in the same year. There were several changes in management over the years, but traders were not convinced of the bank's business. Well, Mizuho Bank economist Karakama Daisuke says there's no clear reason behind the latest turmoil, as Credit Suisse's finances were sound, clearing recent stress tests. He says there's a low probability of this leading to a financial crisis, but it cannot be ruled out.
Investors that sold Credit Suisse were watching what was happening across the Atlantic. They thought banks in Europe may have problems. This vague concern led to the trouble at Credit Suisse. I don't think we need to worry about this spreading, but financial crises tend to happen through a domino effect. For instance, if investors find out a major financial institution has big exposure to Credit Suisse, they may think that bank could collapse, and so on.
Here's how some of the European indexes started trading on Thursday. It seems traders were relieved the Swiss central bank had stepped in to help the troubled bank. Credit Suisse stocks are coming back up. The DAX in Germany is up about 0.3%, and FTSE in Britain has gained about 0.7% from Wednesday. Now, the biggest focus for investors now is the monetary policy meetings of the European Central Bank and the U.S. Federal Reserve. The ECB meeting is coming up later in the day. It has already said it would raise interest rates by 0.5 percentage points, but Karakama says it might have to rethink that.
It may be difficult for the ECB to raise rates by 0.5 percentage points because Credit Suisse is a major European bank, but it will be difficult to cancel the rate hike completely, since board members have already announced the 0.5 percentage point hike. Europeans like to choose something in the middle, so they will most likely decide to raise rates by 0.25 percentage point.
As for the Fed, he says many economists expect no rate hike at its meeting next week to calm markets after the Silicon Valley Bank fallout. But he says there are other scenarios.
Before Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, there was talk the Fed may raise its key rate by 0.5 percentage points. The inflation situation has not changed, and there may be other events ahead of its meeting. I'd say there's a 50% chance of a 0.25 percentage point hike and a 50% chance the Fed will do nothing.
The monetary authorities are in a tricky position for sure. With markets on edge, their decisions could set off another round of nervous selling in the financial sector. And that's it is for this Thursday.
Dati, puro plano lang. Ngayon, sikat ka na.
Dati, namimiss mo siya.
Ngayon, misis mo na.
Dati, pumapara lang ng taxi.
Ngayon, may kotse ng sarili. Malayo ng lalakbay. Umaasenso't nagtatagumpay. Emperador, Emperador. Original pa rin, saan man makarating. Tagumpay ka pa rin. Emperador angat ka sa tagumpay.
안녕하세요. 또 그 귀여운 애네. 혹시 누구 만나려나?
손을 써주세요.
Ang sabi ng lola ko, huwag mahiyang magtanong at hanapin ang check.
Hanapin ang check, hanapin ang tama, hanapin ang right one.
Para sa mura at dekalidad na gamot,
Hanapin ang check ng RiteMed. Hanapin ang check ng RiteMed. Pag may check, correct. Pag may check,
that's the right one.
hanapin ang check ng RiteMed. Pag may check, that's RiteMed.
Isang pagbibigay pugay sa inyo, mga kapwa kong Pilipino. Kayo na kinakaya ang lahat, kahit mahirap. Kayo na di nawalan ng pag-asa at handang tumulong pa sa iba. Kayo na walang takot harapin ang nagbabagong mundo. Kayo ang tibay ng loob ng isang buong bansa. Mula sa Tanduay Rhum, higit 165 years nang sumasaludo sa mga bayaning Pilipino. Tibay ng loob, tibay Tanduay.
Basta't may kasama, lahat na papagaan. San Miguel, Pilsen, at para-paraan.
Ay, lamesa ko yan! Sa'yo pa saan mo dadali? Sorry po.
San Miguel, Pilsen, kaibigan, damayan. Yun lang ang kailangan, kahit na kailangan.
Sige na pre, sige sagot ko yung bukas.
At sa susunod na araw? Sa susunod. At sa susunod.
San Miguel, Pilsen, sarap laging kasama.
If you make the right choices, kaya mong magpasaya. Kaya mong magbukas ng puso. Ready? Yeah. Have the guts to choose para matawid mo ang pagsubok. If you choose to do good, kaya mong magbalik ng pagmamahal. Every choice we make, kahit gaano kaliit, may kabutihang makakamit. So, just take your shot. Select.
Araw-araw, patong-patong ang problema.
All-light ka lang, Bruno. All-light na.
Pero walang mabigat na dala kapag magaan ang kasama. Tanduay Light.
International tourism in Japan is swinging again following last autumn's border reopening. And a brewery is seizing the moment by offering more than just a tipple of sake. NHK World's Hattori Nako reports.
The city of Saku in mountainous Nagano. The area is blessed with abundant pristine water that supports many sake breweries here. But in recent years, depopulation has hampered their operations. However, this 300-year-old brewery is taking advantage of the growing popularity of sake around the world. It joined forces with Tazawa Marika to open an inn right in the brewery complex in 2020. The former employee of a Tokyo travel agency says she was inspired to develop an inbound tourist destination after seeing her hometown struggling.
Because I'm from this area, I didn't want to rely on a travel agency. By creating great content and managing it ourselves and adding value to what is really good, this will create a sustainable region through the tourism business.
When sake brewing was flourishing here in years past, brewers from other prefectures came to help with production. The brewery had a building where guest workers could stay in winter. Tazawa refurbished the building and converted it into a hotel named Kurabito Stay. Kurabito means brewer. During a visit, we met guests from the Philippines, Brazil, Hong Kong, and Japan enjoying a stay. This place is a paradise for sake lovers as it boasts an all-you-can-drink minibar. Guests can sample sake from all 13 breweries in the area. They enjoy comparing every bottle and finding one's favorites.
This is the first time that I can try and participate in the brewing process. So, very good experience for me.
Melvin Suwa is from Manila. His passion for Japanese rice wine began during the pandemic stay-at-home days. He took online classes to learn about sake. He came across Kurabito Stay on YouTube and quickly made a booking.
I even bought a separate refrigerator to house the sakes. Because I cannot finish, of course, all the sakes, so I invited my business partners to sit and taste the sakes.
The hotel breakfast is similar to what actual Kurabito had, as there is no food that has live bacteria, such as yogurt. At this hotel, guests don't just drink sake, they become Kurabito brewers. Sake is considered a divine drink, so it has strong connection to Shinto rituals. A Shinto priest purifies their souls before they start work.
Finish to 20 seconds remaining.
The first step in the brewing process is rinsing the rice in icy cold water. The outside temperature is -4 degrees.
Good.
Good.
It's good.
They receive detailed instructions from the president of the brewery. Freshly steamed rice is carried into the fermentation room. Then it is mixed by hand, and the chief brewer sprinkles it with koji malt powder.
Gentlemen, gentlemen.
When the rice is ready, pure water is added. It is then left to ferment in tanks and monitored closely for 2 months. And the sake the guests made will be delivered to them afterwards.
There's a lot of manual labor. So when there's a sake, finishing the sake bottle, every drop is very hard work.
Certificate of completion of brewer experience.
After completing all the procedures to make sake, Melvin and other guests are given a certificate of their brewing experience.
Very enriching. Doing it yourself, you learn so much more of the small things. So I think this is a really worthwhile experience. One of my most memorable experiences.
The owner, Tazawa, is not just hoping to satisfy customers. She also wants to promote the community's rich heritage to the world.
The ability to stay overnight and extend one's stay in the area, as well as the ability to experience it, will help people to become more attached to the region and will encourage them to introduce this place to others and to visit again.
Tazawa's goal is to make sure that no matter who visits, whether they are sake enthusiasts or not, they will have a once-in-a-lifetime experience that can only be had here. Hattori Naoko, NHK World.